Welcome to Reboot with Dr. Arasi Maran. We are continuing with our fitness series for the month of December as we come close to the end of 2024 and starting 2025. I wanted to focus on fitness and kind of hopefully motivate people to start a fitness journey and reboot their health. I have the pleasure of having Alicia O'Connor with me. And today we are going to deep dive into why resistance training and strength training is extremely important or as important as cardio. And we'll take it from there. Alicia, welcome to the show. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So, Alicia, tell me a little bit about yourself, your journey, and how you got into the fitness space.
Oh my goodness. So goes way back. Undergraduate was physical education. I was always athlete, tennis player, college cheerleading, and which is now considered a sport. And then I didn't want to teach school, so at the time and that was my degree, but I decided I wanted to go into corporate fitness. So went back to graduate school, and my career started with internship in corporate fitness at Georgia Pacific, and that was a wonderful place to get great experience with all kind of basic exercise physiology, exercise testing, prescription. Wonderful place to start. But then I took a break and did a 16-year teaching career in Aspen, Colorado. I taught skiing for 16 years
Oh, wow.
and worked in part time in a clinical setting as an exercise physiologist during that time. So I did part time because I wanted to keep my feet in the field because it was my passion. But I also loved skiing as well, and I was fortunate enough to have that career. So, but after that, that led me to the university, and I've been in this position as a director of personal training here at the MUSC Wellness Center for 12 years. So, with that comes, I get to continue my passion for exercise and teach others and help others accomplish their goals. Where my expertise comes in, along with my degree, as a skier, I was pretty beat up as far as injuries. So I was fortunate enough to work with lots of physical therapists over the years to where I feel like the training I do and how I teach others is all physical therapy based, and then you load from there. So the training here is, I'm very proud of how we do it. It's very safe and effective, and people can continue to do their programs after they leave us. And as far as if they don't continue training, they learn a lot while they're training with us. So
So that's quite a journey. 16 years in ski school. You must
yes,
really love skiing.
I do. I still go.
True,
So
true. So I obviously did not grow up skiing. So I wanted to make sure my kids learn to ski. So they have been to ski school and the kids do well. But my husband and I decided to take on skiing just this year. And we can do a very, very basic bunny slope and maybe a green. But that's a good place to start, I think.
absolutely, and it's fun at every level. That's the great thing about skiing is it's fun on the bunny slope, and then you don't ever have to get off the bunny slope. It's just fun
True.
being outdoors in nature, and
Yes.
you're exercising. So it's
Yes. Yes.
exercising and enjoy yourself, and that's my favorite kind of exercise
That's true.
is
That's
out in
true.
nature.
So, while you love the nature, direct this massive program. I mean, the medical university has this one of the biggest gyms in Charleston, South Carolina, I would say. I don't see just teenagers come. I see teenagers, I see early career people, I see a lot of retired people. There are a lot of program for, boxing for Parkinson's disease. I mean, you have created a wide range of programs. Which kind of brings me to our, beginning, the first question. What do you think about strength training, and how important is it, when compared to cardio? Like, because most of the time when people think of a resolution to start on a new exercise program, they think of, oh, I'm going to start jogging, or I'm going to start walking, or something, or I'm going to start biking. They don't think of, oh, I'm going to start lifting weights as my New Year's resolution.
Well, that is true, and it's okay to start with walking program. Start small, and then if you start running, that's fine. And when you're younger, you can get away with not doing too much strength training. But once you hit 30, your human growth hormone drops off, and so that means you're that's not promoting as much muscle growth. So after age 30, you start to lose a little bit of natural muscle that you had. So that's when it's time to really focus on strength training. And I think people realize that with consistent strength training over a lifetime, that they're going to age a lot better.
Yes.
So if you see the seniors who have had fitness over a lifetime or strength training for a few years, they're walking well, their posture's good, they're thriving, and their quality of life is much better than someone who did not do any exercise, any strength training. They're often, on walkers or not, walking with a cane, or not progressing as well in their later years.
You touched a very interesting point. Let's talk about human growth hormone. Okay. I think, just for the sake of the audience, we'll just kind of elaborate a little bit of human growth hormone. Human
Mhm.
growth hormone is essential for muscle building and keeping our muscle mass alive. And while we are younger, it's in abundance, but as we grow older, it starts coming down. And honestly, the best way to keep up the levels is with exercising.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can increase your HGH, your human growth hormone, with strength training workouts. So after you work out, like with weights, or if you did a sprint workout on a track, your HGH increases, and that promotes muscle building and a much more youthful way to
Absolutely.
continue. So
Yes, yes.
you're
I,
exactly right.
I mean, of course, you can get injections of human growth hormone, and that's
Yeah.
not going to be as effective in muscle building as you naturally build your
Right.
human
And
growth
you
hormone.
honestly don't need injections, and they are, we don't know the whole side effects on that. And
Absolutely.
I could not even recommend that at all. But just think of getting it naturally,
Hmm.
and doing that through exercise or intense exercise. So it does take intense exercise to tap into that human growth hormone.
So when you talk about intense exercising to tap into the human growth hormone, are you talking about like increasing your heart rate to a particular level
So
versus number of
yeah.
days a week?
So when I'm talking about intense exercise, so we know, like, if you are a runner, a walker, you're not going to build as much muscle mass as you if you were did some interval sprinting. So when you do
Okay.
sprinting, that goes into anaerobic exercise. So when
Hmm.
you're doing anaerobic exercise, you're going to promote muscle building. So that's what I mean by intense. Now,
Okay.
you can also, and I was kind of referring to weight training as intense exercise, which doesn't always have to seem that intense. So just by doing, simply doing a seated row and doing 3 sets of 15, and that 15th time is like challenging, that's enough to produce human growth
Human
hormone.
growth hormone. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
that's so interesting, because when you talked about posture, right? There are a lot of people who are into partner sports, right? Like they do tennis or pickleball, and they think, oh, I'm very active because I'm playing tennis 3 times a week, which I'm playing pickleball 3 times a week, which is very good. I'm not going to say that's a bad way to do things, but you can see their posture getting bad and their balance not being that good, even though they're on the tennis court or pickleball court.
yeah, you're absolutely right. So with the tennis, my brother's had an entire career of a teaching tennis pro, and his posture is, ready position, tennis ready position. My position after I skied was ski position. I was
True,
like
true,
this.
true.
So I had to really work on that, strengthen my mid trap, row, do a ton of rows, band exercises just to get my
Good.
posture correct. Now, working at the medical university, I see surgeons,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
surgeons have a history of their weighted vests, and they have been pulled forward like this. So their thoracic spine, their T spine gets a little bent over. So we've got to do exercises to keep that spine straight and mobile.
Yeah.
So it is a problem, and people's neck can be affected by that. Once you go bent over, your neck goes out
Goes
here,
up.
and then your whole
Yes.
cervical spine is affected. So posture is key to aging. Um,
Absolutely.
I've heard when someone said once, "You're only as young as your spine," which really resonated with me as a skier, and with some injuries. So what the way you age well with your spine is building muscles around your spine to support. And so if you can do a strength training program that just supports your whole skeletal system, then you're going to be way ahead of the game.
So many points. I mean, you're talking about the neck position and the upper chest position. You don't have to be a surgeon or wear lead weighted vest like I do. People are getting that just from, office
Yes,
work and being
yes,
on the, hooked onto their phones and everything.
yes,
That is enough to cause your upper neck and your upper spine to kind of get like curved, and like how you heard you are only as young as your spine. When I wanted to do interventional cardiology, the first advice, that is in my second year of fellowship, the first advice given by another interventional cardiologist was your career is only as long as the health of your spine and your core strength. I mean, it was completely valuable advice, because the first year, while in my fellowship, I had already given birth to two children by then. Oh, in the middle of my first 6 months, and like right at the middle of my interventional training, I started developing back pain. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't even started my career. And that's literally kind of started my need for getting a trainer and starting to exercise, because I was like, my career is going to get over even before it starts, because of
right.
my core was messed up with two pregnancies and fellowship and training and not taking care of myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were smart enough to know, like, okay, I can just do exercises to help my spine and get and help you get out of the pain, which you did, and you can.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
the key is consistency. You've got to be consistent and do the work of strength training and the exercises, around your spine to keep it at bay. I have to constantly do my exercises so that I can continue doing my sports.
True, true. Like I remember when I walked in for training, you were like rehabbing your hip after a hip injury or something like
Yes,
that, right?
yes,
So it's a constant thing.
it is.
One of the most common things are, it happens to all of us. We get caught up at our work. We caught up with the hustle bustle of day to day. What are the ways we can incorporate movement throughout the day if you don't have a good 30-minute chunk or a 45-minute chunk to focus? How can you incorporate it throughout the day so you are constantly moving or constantly working on one part of your body or other?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you are busy at a desk all day, if people are very focused. You have to set alarm on your phone and just set it for every 30 minutes. Get up and do a walk or around the office, or you can do something like this. You can get up if there's your desk is close by. I'm going to use this desk so you can see me better, but you can do just a plain push up on a desk, just like this,
There you go.
and then sit back down, and then you have moved. Do it, and if you end up doing that 3 sets of 10, you've got your upper
Upper
body in.
body.
You can also do sit to stands just like that from your
Yes.
chair, and
Yeah.
then get back to work. But you
True.
can kind of do an entire strength training. If you make a list, keep it by your desk, set the alarm, and
Keep
and,
going.
and make time for movement. And that is the thing, is you really do have to kind of schedule your day for fitness. Put
And
yourself on your calendar for
And
fitness.
all these exercises is not going to take a huge chunk of your time because you're
Just
breaking that 30 minutes into 1 minute here, 1 minute there, and you're still moving those muscles. I literally have started marching in place because I'm in the hospital and I start marching in place with or high
yes,
knees or something like that. And it's getting cold here, so I'm not able to go for a walk after dinner. So yesterday, my daughter and I, we have like a yay high table and we were just getting on top of it and doing stand like getting on like step ups almost just
yeah,
to fun ways to incorporate so that it's not so cumbersome, right? I think sometimes
exactly.
the burden of having to exercise can be so overwhelming, and breaking it up in whatever way you can. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it is, I mean, even for someone like me, I mean, I'm passionate about it, but boy, like it takes a lot to get on a machine at the wellness center. Like, it's not my favorite thing. So I'd rather ski or surf outside or walk
Yes.
outside. But if it's rainy, or if it's been, if I'm stuck here, I have a 30-minute break, I'll go jump on a machine if possible, but it's not my favorite thing. And if someone like this is my passion, then
True,
I'm sure it's
true.
hard for everybody. But the everyone is into the 10,000 steps, and lately it's gotten some criticism, like, oh, 10,000 steps isn't that great of a thing to follow or try or set your goal for, but it is. 10,000 steps a
It's
day
a lot.
it's a lot. And if you can get that, that's great. But shoot, look at your day, and if you can get 5,000 steps in a day,
Yes.
then go for that. But stepping and moving every day throughout the day, if possible, depending on your job, then it's very beneficial.
I have, started kind of incorporating small things just to make sure I get the 10,000 steps. We have a 7 floor parking garage. I try to park as far as possible. And I climb all the stairs throughout the day because that's such an
Yes.
easy way. And then when I'm climbing the steps, I'll skip a step and kind of make it like a lunge
Yeah, so
thing.
that's muscle strengthening. So
Yes,
you're
yes.
strengthening your thighs and
Yeah,
your hamstrings and your glutes that way.
yeah.
So that's perfect. And those are ways to incorporate fitness during your day without
Yes.
going to the gym.
Because I truly like, I think it's been a long time since I can, promise, be honest and say I've been to the gym every day. That's going to be a long time ago. So if I hit the gym 3 days a week or 4 days a week, I'm very happy. And for the month of December, I actually have a personal goal of doing 12 to 15 workouts in 31 days of December, and I have
Good.
to do 12 to 15 workouts. And it's since the number seems small, I'm like, oh, I can. It's achievable. It's not like
Yeah.
beyond my reach or something like that. And
Yeah.
so it's going. It's something
Yeah.
is better than nothing.
Exactly. And setting goals is a good way to do it. Set a goal for yourself, and then go for it. And it can be also like setting a goal such as couch to 5K run,
Sure.
but couch to 5K walk
Yes.
is beneficial as well. But yeah, you've got to be mindful and really try to incorporate movement into your day. And you don't need a gym. You can pick exercises like I just did on here, sit to stands from your chair. There are things you can do without a gym that so don't feel overwhelmed, like, oh, I've got to go join a gym. You can walk outside and do your strength training inside. There are plenty of safe things to do inside.
That's literally was going to be my follow-up question. how, like, coming to the gym can be intimidating, right? For someone
Sure.
who are in their 40s, let's say, who's never been to a gym before, walking into a gym for the first time can be kind of intimidating. You see all these experienced people and the gym, like, who know everything about it, who are very comfortable. And here you are, don't know how the machines work. You don't know how to adjust the seats. You don't want to look like a fool. No one wants to look like a fool.
Right.
So how do we what apart from walking outside, etc., like the home things, like what are some good resources you would say to start a exercise program at home safely?
Well, and it's kind of a bit of a problem just because there's so much online and some of it's not safe. And because I look at it sometimes and go, oh my gosh, like that's going to hurt somebody. Or so um, it sometimes people come to me and they just I put together a program for them to do at home, and that's
Okay.
they come one visit, I show them what to do, and then they go back and do it on their own. So I would probably consult a professional, or if you're in a physical therapy program right now for something that they could give you tips, but definitely consult someone who's a certified personal trainer to give you
To
the
start you
correct.
off.
Yes. Or you make sure if you are going online to look at these things, make sure that person is a certified trainer. But I mean that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to get hurt with their move because everybody's body is different. That's why it's better to see a trainer in person or at least virtually, so they can see how you move or they can talk to you about your injuries or what
What
you
is
have,
going on?
what your existing condition is before you start. So
So that's a fair point. At least going to a personal trainer once a week and getting a program listed
yeah,
out for the entire week, or and then follow up with them, over phone. Or there are so many app-based programs. There are so many ways to skin this cat right now.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, you
And the other
talked.
thing, if people do want to go to the gym and get used to a gym experience, they can ask for equipment orientation. They can ask for, which is usually complimentary at gyms,
Mhm.
and they could ask for a one-time, learn how to do the equipment, give you an exercise program, and they write it down on cards, and they can go and continue the program themselves. And that used to be how it was. I've been around since before personal training came around, and it was exercise testing and prescription. We did the
Mhm.
testing, and then we gave you a prescription. Then you went independently after we showed you what to do all by yourself. So,
You had mentioned something about getting injured during working out. So I want to talk about two things: recovery, like post workout recovery, for someone who's starting to exercise, who they haven't been and they start to exercise. The next day is quite painful, and that, can be painful enough to put you off. Any thoughts on how to manage that?
okay, yes. So hydration is key. So you want to. So the RDA for water is still the same, 8 to 10 glasses a day, or 2 liter. I do 2.5 liters a day of water. But so make sure you're hydrated. That's going to help with recovery. Um, Also, what helps with recovery is, if let's say if it's a heavy strength training recovery, you want to eat within 20 minutes of that so that you are in a positive nitrogen balance. This goes down back to science, but you want to refuel that body as soon as possible if you've worked hard and broken
Hmm.
down the muscles, really, in an intense manner. So that will help, just refueling within 20 minutes of protein. It depends on what your goals are, but definitely a protein if you're an aging athlete, carbohydrate if you're an endurance athlete. So it'd be protein, carbohydrate, and fat. So a perfect
Hmm.
post post meal for workout would be walnuts with the protein and fat, and some grapes with the carbohydrate. So we should all eat like a diabetic, and that's protein, carbohydrates, fats in every meal.
Yeah.
So and that keeps the blood sugar just
Balanced, yes.
balance, absolutely. So the post meal would help recover. Now, the Citadel, they drink chocolate milk because they're young, 20 somethings, and
Yes, yes.
they need all the carbohydrate to jump back into their muscles, to the glycogen to get back on it. So that's fine for them. But I wouldn't suggest like a 45-year-old with weight loss goals to drink chocolate milk
Hmm.
after. So you want to make that meal a little bit more caloric, dense, like with the walnuts and the and not caloric dense, but nutritionally dense. So
Yes, yes,
walnuts and the grapes. So that's nutritionally dense with the protein, carbohydrate, and fat.
yeah.
So that would help with recovery. Another thing is and we don't recommend supplements here, but you want to make sure you're getting magnesium for
Yes.
muscles,
Hmm.
and you can get food sources of magnesium from nuts. Have a lot of magnesium,
Yes.
but that is a common deficient nutrient in our diet seems to be. So, but that helps with muscle recovery, and then just a good solid um, nutrition plan with bananas that have potassium, the nuts that have magnesium. Um, salt. You got a
Yeah.
little salt in your diet, but you don't want excessive amounts. So you got to have all the electrolytes covered.
True, true, true. So,
And you
I
might have
think
something to add to that as a
truly,
oh
like,
yeah.
I think, so hydration, I think, is the biggest nutrient of all. Like, just make sure you're hydrated. And I feel like the days I work out and I run around and I forgot to rest and recover, I get into so much trouble with muscle pains and aches. And just
Sure.
drinking and hydrating like 1 to 2 liters, like just to wash out all the buildup of lactic acid, is going to be extremely good. It gets metabolized, but it's also, I think that's really good. Vitamin C, I'm not a big supplement person. I honestly, I take vitamin C maybe once a week or once in 2 weeks. It's because if you have a balanced meal, you will get most of your
All the
nutrients
nutrients.
with your meal. And I feel like we completely underestimate the power of nuts in our diet because we just ignore it, or we overdo it, or we completely forget it. But just a little bit handful of nuts every day can go a long, long way. I love walnuts, I love my pecans, and almonds here and there, but I like my walnuts more than
Right,
most.
and that's the omega-3. The walnuts have the
Yes,
omega-3, so that's wonderful for your heart and your brain.
yes, yes,
And the
yes.
other thing related to recovery for the next day, so after hard workout, when you're super, super sore, you actually don't want to work hard the next day. You want to rest. You could do an active rest, which is maybe walking or riding your bike lightly. And if you are sore the following day, 2 days, and you're still really sore, you still don't want to work that muscle again. So you might, let's say you work out Monday, you want to rest Tuesday. If you're still sore Wednesday, don't strength train again Wednesday. Wait till Thursday. So you don't
Yes.
want to work a sore muscle. You want to find an alternative way to exercise. Like I said, the walking or the swimming or the biking.
Yeah. So let's talk about stretching. It's something I'm guilty of not doing enough, but I'm also like incredibly inflexible. Like, I'm
Yes.
stiff as a bone. And I try to stretch. I have done it both ways, like incorporating it in between my workout, and
Mm-hmm.
which is better for me because then I don't forget to do it. Every time I put it at the end of my workout, I'm like, oh, there's no time. I need to move on to the next thing.
Right.
Uh, let's talk about stretching. How important
Yeah.
is
So
it?
so when you at the beginning of your workout, I don't think you need to stretch too much. So you want to just do to warm up. You want to do a rhythmic movement or ride a bike for 3 minutes and then go into your strength training. But you've got to warm up at least 3 minutes, or it could be a marching in place rhythmic
Hmm.
movement, warming up your core temperature. If you feel like you need to, do your stretch your shoulders a little bit or what, that's fine. But the most important is not to stretch a cold muscle. So the warm up in that way, the 3 minutes will allow your core temperature to warm up, and then it's not as important, like I said, but work out, and then in between, let's say you did a set of rows, then you can certainly do a shoulder stretch light after that, and like you were talking about, or you can do it at the end. But I typically wait till the end of a workout to stretch, or after the movement.
So, there are certain things which feels good, and I honestly don't know the science about behind it, like rolling with a foam roller. Does that actually help in recovery?
So I love the foam roller, and the foam roller addresses the fascia, the covering of the muscle.
Mm.
You can roll the muscles, but you don't want to roll connective tissue. So when people start rolling their IT band, it's like no, 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 no. Our connective tissue, we want it to stay nice and tight. So it's okay to foam roll your muscles, and
Okay.
that will relax the fascia so that it doesn't pull on the tendons and the ligaments.
Let's explain can you explain what IT band is and where it is
Okay, so
located?
the
And
IT band starts from the top of your hip to your knee, and it is a connective tissue, and a lot of people have this pain here. So in this case, if I want to loosen my IT band, I foam roll the tensor fascia lata, which is a muscle here. So I roll this muscle here, and maybe glute medius, maybe
mhm,
the hip flexor and the quad and
quads.
hamstring. So I'm rolling the muscles around the IT band, which will just the muscles will relax and let go a little bit, and which releases the tension on the IT band. So that's the idea.
Mm.
Don't get there and just roll right there. You will bruise, and it's painful, and
It
it's
is
just
very painful. I have
yeah,
done that. I am guilty of that. I've never
yeah,
heard that you should not roll an IT band. So I'm so glad
yeah. No
we
connective
spoke
tissue.
about it. Okay.
Yes, so don't do that.
And what does it do? Does it just release the knots or what does it do?
So we have that covering of the muscle, the fascia, and I think of it as an iron. It sort of irons it out, and it does release the gripping on the muscle. So your
Hmm.
fascia can get kind of bound up, and you can feel it. Like you might when we had a foam rolling class here. But so and it was taught that when you roll, if you feel what's called a trigger point, like if you were in a massage
Yes.
situation, you could actually keep that foam roller on the trigger point, which is a painful point, maybe in your back or in your muscle, somewhere in the muscle that maybe knotted up.
Hmm.
And if you hold that there, then it will release.
Release. Yes.
And I'm not saying it won't come back. I mean, the muscle will want to come back and go tight again. I mean, it will, but it will give you some relief. But I really do well. I really like the foam roller.
True.
Sometimes I'll have a what I call a kink in my back, and then if I only roll from T12 thoracic 12 to the
Uh-huh.
bottom, from here, the bottom of the cervical spine here,
Yes.
and if I'll roll that, and it has saved me so much money from running to the massage therapist to get this kink workout. So the
Uh,
foam roller, I can't stress enough of good things about the stroke foam
No,
roller.
actually,
I don't.
that is true. I've talked about my hip issues a lot of times, and truly, I used to struggle so much, and I still limp. Exercising truly saved the day for me, and
Sure.
then I met a therapist who actually, taught me how to foam roll, and he would get like balls of different shapes and sizes. So he gave me a lacrosse ball and a slightly a medium-sized ball to kind of focus around my hip
Sure.
area. Oh,
And
I
that's the
was
same idea. Yeah, is addressing the muscle. So,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
do believe in, I call that soft tissue work. So you're doing,
Hmm.
but it's addressing the muscle only.
Okay. So, how about, I mean, what are your thoughts about the other recovery mechanisms like, the sauna, the steam, cold plunge?
Well, okay, so those are good questions. So the sauna, I'm not an expert in that, but I think sweating is just, wonderful for people. But you have to be really safe and careful with it. You still want to stay hydrated. You don't want to stay
Yes.
in the sauna too long. Um, hot and cold plunge. That's kind of a heart issue in a way. And I know they do it in the Scandinavian countries, and it's supposed to be super healthy for you. But I'm a huge fan of icing to recover.
Hmm.
So, because I'll have a lot of people who will say, "Oh, should I heat my back? It's a little sore." I'm like, "No, it's all about ice to me. Ice takes the inflammation away. Usually, if you have pain in any part of your body, it's due to inflammation. And there'll be some physical therapists that disagree with me on this, but I'm from the school of ice,
Colding. Oh,
and
I see.
it is just because we know it takes inflammation away. After any surgery, of course, like I had an ACL surgery for that just blows up. The only relief is ice, but just managing my injuries over the years, ice is my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the way I go.
So let's say someone's attempted to work out, ended up injuring themselves, and now is gun shy about coming back to working out. What do you want to tell them?
Um, so definitely, if they are, you want them to start just very basic, very light. Um, Start if they're are they or is this person familiar with exercise or
It can be in any stage, like, anytime you get an injury and it puts you back, like,
okay?
even I am like, oh my God, I'm scared
Sorry.
to go back to exercise.
Okay, sure. Sorry, I was distracted with the first part of the question. So yeah, so when you're coming off of an injury, you definitely, first of all, you may have been in physical therapy, so they're going to guide you on where you should be, and usually they give you a handout of what to continue. And I always say physical therapy is forever. So you want to just start out light, start lighten your weights, take down the repetitions, just lighten up everything. Don't even expect to get a good workout when you first come back. Your
Hmm.
goal should be just go through the movement, do the light, everything as light as possible. Don't overdo it, and then know that okay, the next time I'm gonna just make it a little bit more intense, and then the next time I'll add more. So you really got to start over, and because I mean, people can gain strength at any age and any time in their life. So why push it?
So, that's such a valid point you made right there, is because when, number one, they go to work out and they get injured and they're like, oh my God, the workout made me worse. I hurt my knee so bad, or my hip so bad, or back so bad. They get pushed back, and then that they kind of becomes an excuse. The pain becomes an excuse to not come back to work out. And then that vicious cycle of not moving enough and having pain and wanting to feel better from pain, and therefore reaching out to food for comfort, and then you gain
Yeah,
like 10 pounds, all from your wonderful good thought of wanting to start an exercise program. It puts you in a
right,
bad place.
right.
So I think starting slow and not having, a perfectionist mentality, right? uh,
Absolutely. And the other thing is, and I tell my new clients up front, it's like no pain, no pain. That's how we train. So that means if you're doing like a lunge or a reverse lunge, I only do reverse lunges. But if you're doing
yes.
a reverse lunge and there's pain in that movement, then first of all, we shorten the range of motion because you should never feel pain when you're doing an exercise. And know
Hmm.
the difference between joint pain and then muscle fatigue. Muscle
Yes.
fatigue's okay, but you shouldn't feel pain in a joint when you're doing a movement during exercise. If you do, you back off, you stop, we do a different movement. We can
Hmm.
modify.
Hmm. Yes.
So no pain, no pain. That's how we train.
I like that. I like that. And I think, and that's the problem. Like when you exercise heavily, get injured, don't work out, then coming back, and when you start slow, you feel like you are not doing enough. You feel like you're not doing adequate, and then you push yourself too soon before you've healed. And unfortunately, the older we get, the longer it takes for us to heal to where we used to be, right? The bounce back time
Yeah,
is not as fast as it used to be.
absolutely. That's So true. So you have to be a little bit more patient as you get older. But still, don't give up just because you get hurt when you're older. Don't give up. Don't give up your sport even, because
Yes.
just wait. You know, wait it out. Do the proper exercises to get strong again, and then go back to your sport if that's your passion.
See, I'm not going to say running is my passion, but I've tried to run 6 times in my life, and every time within the second week, I injure some part, and either my ankle joint or my knee joint is swollen, and I'm pushed back. But it didn't stop me from exercising. I had to stop running, but somehow this year I'm again tempted. So, like, very, very slowly, I'm not even going to, I'm literally starting with, like, I'm going to run for 2 minutes in a 20-minute walk, and that's all for this week. And,
Exactly.
and
And yeah, you have to be, create your own program that works for you, a little bit of trial and error because you've
yes,
tried this before. So you're going to have to start. But I don't have a problem with people running. I did give it up because of the ACL surgery, but in 2 screws in my knee. So I realized, okay, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to do cycling instead. So I transferred it to more cycling. But my sister still runs, and she's 60 years old. So and
no, that's
she did a
awesome.
marathon. So because people say, don't you think you should stop running at a certain age? And I'm like, nope.
Nope.
If it works for you,
Yeah.
if your body can hold up and that's your thing, and it works for you, then keep running. And she's completely healthy, and her joints are completely healthy. It helps to be at your ideal weight when you're a runner. You
Sure,
don't want to
sure.
be, because the more weight you have on you, the more stress it is on your knees, on your joints. So
Yes,
that makes it more
absolutely.
difficult, and that sets you up for injury. So yeah,
See, that's why I like the reason I want to even take on running is it's such a beautiful excuse to go outside. And anywhere, wherever you are, whether you're, and certain, sometimes when you're traveling, the gyms are so cramped up and small, and it's just not
yeah,
comfortable, and
it's
it's
the
just
most
so
convenient.
freeing.
Yes.
Yes, and
And as
listen
a
to
mom
music.
and a surgeon, so it's your quickest way. It's your best
Yes.
bang for your buck. And that's how my sister got into it. She was working full time, mother of two. Quickest thing she could do was go for a run. She'd run as fast as she can, if she could, in 30, 45 minutes. And then she became a really fast runner because she was trying to get back to work, and she started winning all these races, and she's still 60 years old today and still running. So
Yeah.
it's a convenient, fast workout. You're in nature, and what makes you feel better than running? I loved running that because you can't cheat when you run. When I'm on my
True.
bicycle, I can coast. When you're running, it's one foot in front of the other, and
True, true, true.
so
I mean, the runner's high is a real thing. It's a real, real
I do.
problem.
Exercise high is a real thing to me. In
Yes.
fact, as I've aged, I exercise for my mental health, not for my body or how it looks. And the how your body looks is just the benefit of exercising for mental health.
Yes.
So it's helped me over the years control my weight. But like I said, I do it for mental health now, and I reap the benefits of as far as being able to be pain free and function, and go through my life as a strong person.
I mean, I think pain is it's an important reason why we should exercise, right? If
Oh
you
yeah,
are not exercising, pain is going to come, and it'll be so much harder to start you can start at any age, but it'll be just so much harder to catch it. But instead, if you prevent it, I think it makes such a big difference. And most importantly, like, I think the whole reason I started this podcast is because I was seeing 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds asking me, how did I get here? What has happened to me? How can I make it go away? And I'm like, we should not be telling a 80-year-old start exercising. Yes, 80-year-olds can start exercising, but not after they've had a heart attack and they have half a dozen medical problems. We should be talking to our 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds.
absolutely.
Please start now. Start taking
Start
care of
now.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
and start, eating whole foods and nutritionally dense foods, and
Yes.
and not the junk stuff, and yeah, and move and start now, like you said, like, because they'll set themselves up for a lifetime of pain if you don't start now. So
And I used to be that person. Oh, I'm going to have a great time this weekend and I'll start on Monday, or I'll enjoy Christmas and New Year and start on. But now I'm like, no, right here, right now.
same,
Every
yeah,
year New Year is going to come, and every year Christmas is going to come, and all those events or festivals or functions don't stop. It's cycle, it keeps coming. So
yes,
you have to learn to manage your mind around Thanksgiving, around Christmas, around New Year, and yeah, you don't, don't kind of restrict yourself, but for one day, but the next day get back, and that's a new day, and you just have to get back on. Rebooting does not happen once a year. Rebooting almost happens every year, every day of your
every
life.
day. That's
Yeah.
how I was the same way. I'd go, okay, I'll start on Monday. I'm going to be bad this week. I'll start on Monday. And now it's like, no, I start today.
Yes.
And the thing about as you age, you're more sensitive to, or I am at least, to the bad foods I eat. I know I don't feel well when I eat too much sugar, or I just don't feel as well. So I have to reel it in because I want to feel good every day. I
Yes.
want to
Yes.
have enough energy to give to my clients and make them have a better day. So if I don't have the energy, then I'm not
Yeah.
good for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same, right? We all live beyond just ourselves too. Like, if I don't have a good night's sleep, my whole day is going to be messed up, and it just keeps
Sure.
piling on. And you have to prioritize your everything. There's nothing which you can slip away. It does not mean you're on your tippy toes all through the day and you're walking on eggshells all through the day. You can have a free day or a free evening where I'm just going to let go. But after that meal, after the meal time is over, you're back on the clock and you're like, okay, that's enough. It's done.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And you made a good point. And this goes along with your question back about recovery. So we've got your water, we've got the good nutrition for recovery, we've got ice if anything hurts, and we need sleep.
Yes.
Sleep is when your whole body, your cells repair. So you really got to get good sleep. You have to establish good sleep habits. Same time every night, about the same time in the morning,
Yeah.
and really just make sure you've got your sleep hygiene intact, just to age well as well. And then your exercise is going to help contribute to good sleep
Good
hygiene for
sleep as
sure.
well. Yes. Yes. Nothing.
So
Having said that, if I work out at 6:30 or 7:30 in the evening, I can't sleep. I have to.
to go, and I have to work out earlier in the day. If I work out later at night, I can't sleep because
Yeah.
I think you get a boost in your metabolism after
Yes.
you so it takes a while for your metabolism to come back down. So
And honestly, I don't know whether it's the problem of the 40s and 50s and 60s, because my boys literally come home after wrestling at 7:30, and by 9 o'clock they are passed out. They are,
yeah, that's
but
great.
that might be from exhaustion or not wanting
Yeah,
to do homework. But
yeah. And that's kids can sleep, and
yes,
they
true, true.
that's
I mean, the human growth hormone, they have such high levels of human
oh
growth
yeah,
hormone, which is essential for sleep as well. So,
yeah,
yes.
that's
Well,
true.
Alicia, it's been a wonderful conversation. I learned so much, and we talked about so many different things. I think if you go back to the beginning of the conversation, we talked about starting slow. We talked about recovery. We talked about rolling and the importance of it, injury prevention, nutrition, utilizing the various nuts in the world to make
Yeah,
our nutrition better, and eating nutrient dense food over calorie rich food. I mean, I think we've discussed a lot.
yeah.
Anything we haven't discussed and you think we should have
Well,
discussed about?
yeah, let me give you a formula for strength training that works. So we know that 3 times a week is ideal for strength training. So and give your body a day in between. So let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday strength train. You do need a day in between before in between to rest the muscles. So that's ideal. And that would be 3 sets of 10 to 15 reps. As an older person, past 40, you want the higher reps, lower weights to protect your joints. Younger person, you can go a little bit heavier and do 3 sets of 8 reps at a heavier weight. You don't have to worry about your joints as much. Now, to maintain your muscle mass, 2 days a week, non-consecutive days would work. So those would be the guidelines around strength training. And then in between, I would certainly recommend cardiovascular exercise as far as walking briskly or swimming or biking or something in between.
Fantastic, Alicia. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you taking the time and joining us today. Wish you a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. If you found us valuable, you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast app. And also, please consider leaving us a rating or a review, as that helps others find the podcast too. I hope you have a great week ahead.